right, so I'm with Tyra, and she's agreed to be part of the Salt Legacy Speaker Series. So I'm going to be giving her some fun interview questions and just get to know her and her connection, her personal connection to place. So Tyra, I'm going to start off with an icebreaker question, just to get things warmed up. What is the most recent place you've swam in?
Most recent place I swam would have been last time I went to Tofino and went surfing for the day.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the ocean.
Yeah, Tyra jumps in the ocean all the time. I'm a big baby, but yeah. So
it's very refreshing.
All right, so Tyra, where are we right now?
We're currently sitting here in Eden Grove, which is kind of at the bottom of Edinburgh Mountain. Close to Port Renfrew, Patchy Dat area. You can see a giant red cedar behind us here. And so we're just spending the day out here exploring and looking at all the beautiful trees that are unprotected.
Awesome. So that's what I wanted to ask you about. Basically, why is this area so important to you? Kind of walk me through, as a child, were you into really exploring outdoors? I know you grew up in Alberta, so where did that connection place really start kind of stemming from?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in northern Alberta, I was always spending my time outside, just in the forest exploring, doing lots of camping with my family. But I really think my connection with the forest really began when I moved here to Vancouver Island roughly 5 years ago. I think I was just in awe of the forest and everything in it, just it being a coastal temperate rainforest. I hadn't spent much time in one of those before. Obviously, northern Alberta is a boreal forest, which is kind of scarce and pretty plain. So coming here was like quite a big contrast, and I think I just slowly just fell in love with the forest, just how biodiverse they are, all the different plants and animals, and how everything is really like just interconnected to each other. Perfect.
And what are you currently taking in school that kind of stemmed your passion towards your degree, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm currently in school at Vancouver Island University studying forestry. For me, it really was seeing the impact that forestry has had on the environment, and I really wanted to learn about the industry from the inside out and see what we could do to help our environment, how we really need to change things, what we're doing okay, what we could be doing better for the future. And I think for me, I just really wanted to study forestry because of my love for old growth forests. And old growth forests are diminishing. We're down to less than 3% of standing old growth forests. So I think it's really important to just study forestry and see what I can do to help.
Totally. And out of all the different species of trees, do you have a certain favorite?
I do, actually. My favorite is a western red cedar that you can see behind us here. They're just incredibly amazing. They are culturally important. They're used for many indigenous purposes. They've been used for hundreds and thousands of years. I mean, they've been around longer than most of us have. And I think they're just like, the sheer size of them is what I really like gravitate towards. And I just really like the bottom of the tree, how it's like fluted out and very, it just looks really cool, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah. And how could you identify a cedar out of all of these other species here? What are some key ID factors that people wouldn't know what to look for and how to identify a cedar?
So the western red cedar is really cool. You can clearly identify it. Mainly, like if you first glance at it, it's usually the size of it, and again, the base of the tree, how it kind of expands outwards, and it's got like lots of notches and grooves in the bottom of the tree. When you look at the bark too, the bark is can be easily peeled or stripped, which is really cool. That's one of the cultural importances of the tree, is peeling the bark off the tree. And then for the leaves are a very cool, like a very green color, very pleated. and flat looking. And then obviously you can smell a cedar, which is really great.
Yeah, which we're actually smelling right now. This forest
cedar
is
boardwalk
beautiful.
behind us.
Yeah. Okay, Tyra. So if you had to choose what species, it can be a plant, it can be an animal, it can be a tree, to be, what would it be and why?
I would choose to be a tree. I think for tree species, I would pick a western red cedar because obviously they're my favorite. I kind of gravitate towards them. I think I would choose to be a western red cedar just because if I was left standing, I could live up to be 2,000 years old. And I think it would be really cool just to be a tree and be in that environment and see the environment around me change and grow and just like be one with the biodiversity and be one with the forest and have people come and look at my sheer size would be really cool.
Oh, totally. Is there any cool fun facts that you know or you like to share about western red cedars?
Yeah, western red cedars are a great tree. They're used for so many different things. They're still used currently to this day. I mean, mainly they're used for housing and building and all that. But they've been used for thousands of years before that by the indigenous people, used for dugout canoes. Their bark is used to weave baskets and make clothes, and they just have such a cultural importance to them, and you can even make totem poles out of them.
Awesome. Okay, so while you're in the field for school and work, what are your favorite types of surveys to be doing?
Yeah, I think for me it's plant identification, botany, pathology, just out seeing what kind of trees and plants are out there. I think identifying the plants is what I enjoy the most, and just seeing how biodiverse the forest is, how many different plants and animals are in there, and just trying to identify as many as I can.
Perfect. And I know the answer to this already, but do you have a tattoo of a specific plant?
I do. I have a tattoo of a fern. It's of a frond of a lady fern.
Cool.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
All right, Tyra, so to round off this interview, I just wanted to ask you what the largest challenge within your industry is at the moment.
Yeah, I think at the moment for forestry, probably the biggest challenge is finding a balance between harvesting and conservation. I mean, forestry and wood and timber is something we all need and we all use, but just trying to find that balance between getting that and not affecting the ecosystem. And I think the biggest challenge right now for forestry is old growth management and finding a balance between that. It's a non-renewable resource and we are running out of that, and I think it's something that foresters need to take into mind, and it's something our government needs to consider, and just something we can all work on. And I think it's important to protect the last remaining old growth on Vancouver Island.
All right, Tyra, last question. If you could choose kind of what impact and mark you could leave on the world or your legacy, what would that be?
That's a really hard and deep question.
Yeah.
I think ultimately I just want to be a good person and try and help the environment in any way that I can throughout my life, and just try and make it a bit of a better place if I can. So any way I can help out and do that is something I will try and do.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay tuned for our next speaker series, interviewing other individuals and their own personal connection to nature.